Good morning, everyone. Lots going on as usual. Today is Sunday, November 30th, 2025. Second last day of the Black Friday weekend and all that. Is Black Friday even a thing anymore? I've seen a lot of people talking about the sales aren't as good. They're not as, the discounts aren't as steep, not as many people taking part. And then I saw other news that Black Friday shoppers increased by 10% or something like that. So 10% more spent this year than last year, which is surprising to me because isn't the economy crap? Is Trump's economy that much better? It's all very interesting to me. I don't know, but it is. I'm watching it kind of unfold, and it seems like on the ground things are a bit different than what they're telling us in the media. But that's not a surprise. Trump, Smartmatic, and Venezuela. We have to start there. There's Trump news, there's autopen news, and I think it's kind of impactful, and it's going to be big fireworks if the things happen that people think are going to happen as fallout of this, because Biden had a big impact with the autopen, and if all of those are of no force or enforcement, then that's going to send shockwaves through the U.S. government, and Trump is going to be there to pick up the pieces. One of those shockwaves is another Supreme Court pick, because one of them, I believe, was placed with an autopen, or Trump thinks he's got the proof that backs that up, and so he's going to act on it. And so there's all sorts of things happening there, and we're gonna look at that. We've got to talk about Alberta post AGM. I think everything went as kind of predicted yesterday. There was a lot of boos for Danielle Smith, but ultimately at the AGM, everything kind of wrapped up as things as everybody was expecting they would wrap up, and things are moving on. A united sovereign Alberta and a united Canada. That's where Danielle Smith wants to take the UCP. Is that where the UCP wants to go? We'll see. I'm not sure. Money that went to Ukraine is gone. There's a lot of corruption in Ukraine, and Canada is sending a lot of money. And so that'll be interesting to see the fallout for that. I'm not sure what kind of fallout will happen. Well, do you think anybody will go to jail? I don't. Chrystia Freeland's already in Ukraine, right? She's already in her mansion in Ukraine with her supercar. Digital ID. And then she's moving to England, isn't she, to run the Rhodes Scholarship? I don't know, man. Good luck with that. That'll be fun or something. Digital ID in Australia, and all of that is just moving us towards the NWO 2030 agenda. And, well, super duper hope we can get out of it, because it seems like that's where we're going. And it doesn't seem even Trump, the timeline's very short. Do you think he's going to be able to move the United States from the track it's on to a different path? I don't know. I genuinely don't know. So there's lots to get to. Let's get to it. First, we've got to talk about Venezuela. What's going on in Venezuela? Color revolution. Venezuela is running a color revolution using United States resources against the United States, and Donald Trump is trying to stop them. And so that's interesting. This is going to get wild. I think this is absolutely going to get wild and crazy. And this lady here is describing or explaining what's going on. And so here she is. Here we go.
You've now probably heard political experts over and over refer to the fact that what we're witnessing is a color revolution. And they're right. And let me explain why. A color revolution is a communist globalist playbook to take over a country without tanks actually rolling down Main Street. It's how they flipped places like Serbia, Georgia, Ukraine, and they tried to flip a dozen others. The same exact playbook every single time. This is how they do it. 1, they demonize the leader of the people who they actually voted for. 2, they flood the country with chaos like riots, open borders, economic pain. 3, they weaponize the courts, the media, and big tech to finish him off. And 4, they install a puppet who sells the country out to China and the UN. And that's not theory, that's the manual. They opened it on us in the United States the day Donald Trump won in 2016. And here's how they ran it on us step by step. From 2016 to 2020, they gave us the Russia collusion hoax, FBI spying, 2 fake impeachments, Antifa burning cities while CNN called it fiery but mostly peaceful, and the goal was to make you hate the guy you voted for. In 2020, we had 2 a.m. ballot dumps, boarded up windows, 51 intel agents lying about Hunter's laptop, Zuckerberg dropping $400 million to help count votes in Democrat cities.
So she goes through kind of what's happened and what's ignored, and how this color revolution has been openly rolled out right in front of everybody's eyes. And I think they're doing the same thing. It's not just the United States that they're doing this, it's Canada as well. And that's why I get so frustrated when I talk to other people who don't see how rigged the elections are. It's clearly rigged. It's obviously rigged, right? And we have the evidence to back it up over and over again. And not only is the election rigged, but it is double coordinated to stymie anyone who's trying to break in, right? And now they're trying to back up the laws to make it criminal to even question these people who are breaking the law themselves. So, gosh, it is incredible. Here is Marco Rubio, and he's talking about Europe being upset about how the United States is responding to Venezuela, and Marco Rubio says, stay in your lane. It's none of your damn business. Stay out of our hemisphere. Here we go.
I don't think that the European Union gets to determine what international law is. No, they certainly don't get to determine is how the United States defends its national security. The United States is under attack from organized criminal narco-terrorists in our hemisphere, and the president is responding in the defense of our country. I do find it interesting that all these countries want us to send, and supply, for example, nuclear-capable Tomahawk missiles to defend Europe. But when the United States positions aircraft carriers in our hemisphere where we live, somehow that's a problem. So I would say that the United States and this president has made very clear, his job is to protect the United States from threats against the United States, and that is what he's doing in this operation. I don't think that the
So there you go. Venezuela is being targeted because of a color revolution, and that's what I was going to say. The stealing of elections is part of a broader conspiracy theory. It's not just the color revolution that has a clear defined set of we're going to do this, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do this. And this first step leads into the second step, leads into the third step, into the fourth step. And the goal is to unseat the leader and destroy him, unseat the person who's duly elected, and install our own toadies with a ready-made support system in place. It is a conspiracy. It's a huge conspiracy. And again, it's being laid bare, and Venezuela is part of the conspiracy. Venezuela is the actual tangible thing that they use to take control of these countries. You see what I'm saying? So Trump targeting Venezuela, this is a big deal, and it's going to have an impact, big impact. Donald Trump says to all airlines, pilots, drug dealers, and human traffickers, please consider the airspace above and surrounding Venezuela to be closed in its entirety. Thank you for your attention to this matter. So your airspace is closed down. You're not going anywhere. You're not going to do anything. And why? Because we're going to take you out. And here is, I've said this before, you should go watch this. This guy's talking about something of the sun, Del Cora de Sol, or something like that. I'm saying it terribly wrong. But it's a narco-terrorist group that this guy's naming, who is doing a lot of this, and they productized their election theft and exported it, and they're using it against the United States through Smartmatic and Dominion and others. And again, I think Trump and his administration are dismantling this, and I think that what we're watching right now. Once we understand what we're watching, it's going to blow people's minds. People are just going to have their hair blown right back. They're going to say, what? That was going on? And the implications it has for the rest of the world. I don't think people are going to be able to avoid this, Chrystia Freeland, right? Because I think Ukraine and Venezuela is all tied up together. I think that there are things that are connecting these things, and so we'll see. But my gosh, I think it's all connected, and I think it's all coming down like Jenga, right? Like Jenga. If you play at the top, right, you can play for a little while and things don't all fall down. But Trump is taking a sledgehammer to the bottom, and it's all going to come down. I hope that'd be fun. That'd be interesting. I want it to come down in a way that chocolate cereal is maintained. Okay, just to make sure that we're all clear on the same page. Go watch this. It is super duper interesting. It's like 9 minutes on 2x speed. Worth it. Here is CTV News, and they've got Maduro with his fists up. He's going to fight Donald Trump because he doesn't want to, I don't know, stop with the election interference. CTV News is reporting, Trump says airspace above and around Venezuela should be considered closed. Maduro's ready for a fight, they say with their photo. We'll see. We'll see how that all plays out. Here is Packing Patriot, and he says, it's all about to go down. The globalists have been caught red-handed orchestrating a color revolution against the United States, and President Trump is going to stop them. And so here's just a little bit of this. We'll watch probably a minute and a half, maybe. Here we go.
What's up, my friends, family, and fellow patriots? Today is Saturday, November 29th, 2025. It's about 9:49 a.m. Central Standard Time. I am coming to you, even though it's been a minute. This is so important. I hope that you take the time to listen to me here today. This is a warning. We are in the midst of a color revolution. What is a color revolution, first and foremost? It's when a foreign entity or foreign entities infiltrate a government to try to usurp and overthrow that government from within. What we're witnessing right now, stolen elections, the 2020 stolen election, where Venezuela is looking like they were involved with using their Smartmatic machines to overthrow our voices and our votes by using algorithms and things that are very hard to decipher. They passed it on to Dominion, which we used here, the Dominion machines. This is something that they did to get Maduro into power, and they're now using this as an export of sorts and have infiltrated 70-some countries with this technology. This is why Trump has...
It's called Hammer and Scorecard. And Hammer and Scorecard are used to make sure elections are close. They can't fully steal elections until they have a number to reconcile, because you can't steal an election until you know the target that you're aiming at, and you don't know the target until after a winner's declared. And so how do you do that? Mail-in voting, right? Mail-in voting. Oh, who's going to win? Donald Trump? Okay, not yet, right? Hold on, pause the vote, right? Bring in a whole bunch of mail-in ballots. And if you're not winning, throw out the ballots, right? Whichever way you do it. Elections Canada says this didn't impact the outcome of the vote. No problems. 200,000 votes? Psh, pish posh. That's nothing, right? So this is happening not just in, the United States, not just in all of the United States, probably a lot of the blue states, probably a lot of the red states too, happening in 72 countries. 72. Do you think Canada is one of those countries? Yes. How many countries in the world? If the 72 countries they're targeting are not the bottom 72 on the list, I promise you that. Okay. So anyway, back to this, just because this guy's interesting and we're going to listen to a bit more.
30% of our firepower sitting in the Caribbean right now, about ready to go off against Venezuela. Trump this morning has closed the airspace in Venezuela. This all comes back to that. This isn't just about with Venezuela. This isn't just about them sending fentanyl over here and flooding our borders with Tren de Agua and emptying their prisons. It's much more than that. They have literally infiltrated our elections. And I think that everything's coming to a head right now. This is why Trump's been fighting the fight. And this is why you've been watching as they've tried to take him out. They've tried to have him in prison. They've tried to assassinate him. They stole the election. It doesn't stop with the Nazi, the fascist talk. All of this is orchestrated chaos with the purpose of overthrowing our government. And Trump is an asset to us. He is somebody that is fighting the fight, whether you want to believe it or not. That is the facts. I've asked questions about why he's doing certain things, but now I'm starting to see the answers of why he's doing certain things.
I think it's chess. I think it's chess. And we are watching a chess match where we don't understand necessarily the rules of the maneuvers, of the moves on the board, but we're watching a chess match, and we don't understand some of the moves because we don't understand how like if you were to watch a chess match and you didn't know how any of the pieces moved, and you watched the queen move, and you watched the bishop move, and then you watched the horse move, the knight move, you'd be like, wow, you'd be able to discern things. You'd be like, okay, that one moves like that one moves like that. But what we're watching is an irregular chess game with irregular pieces, and it's difficult to discern patterns in that format. And so we're looking at this, and we can't recognize the pattern. We can see these people appear to be working against us, even though they say they're for equity, diversity, inclusion. The inclusion doesn't include me, right? The inclusion doesn't include listening to people who say, ooh, we probably shouldn't confuse kids about whatever gender ideology is, because that's really confusing, especially at that age. We shouldn't harm the kids like that. Seems weird, right? And all of a sudden that's terrible, and you're the problem, right? And so it is all part and parcel to keep things unstable. And they use words that we think mean what we want to hear, but they don't mean what we want to hear. They just sound like it. And what really they say is, they're going to continue with their communist ideology, diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so it'll be interesting to see if this whole thing rolls out and Trump is able to actually stop this or what, because while they use words that sound good but do bad things, Trump is blunt and does things that people say, oh, he's a tyrant, he's this, he's that, he's acting in bad faith. But I think that it's just, we don't understand the moves. And we don't understand the broader board. We don't even understand really the stakes at this point in time, broadly, I think. And so people respond as if they're in one situation, but I think we're in a vastly different situation. And And so we'll see how things go. Is Trump an asset to, quote, us? It seems like the people who want to destroy the West really don't like Trump. So that's good enough for me at this point in time, but we'll see. I want to see transparency. I want to see openness. I don't want to have one regime replacing another regime, right? Just because I like Trump and I think he's funny doesn't mean his tyranny would be any better than anybody else's tyranny. But I don't think he's going in that direction, despite a whole bunch of people trying to make that argument to me. It just doesn't seem like that. It doesn't. Anyway, Brandon, even Fitz is talking about the digitization, and Trump is worse because he's moving into I don't think central bank digital currency, but digital currency. Period. I don't like the ledgers on digital currency. I think that's something to think about. But I don't know that he's maneuvering to get us all into digital IDs and things like that. Again, I think that he's against the regime that's coming in. So maybe he's trying to use alternate systems to, again, a preventative chess move. Some say like warp speed, but who knows, right? And people don't like him for warp speed. Again, I've heard the alternative was 10 years in lockdowns while they looked for a cure. So I don't know. Brandon, let's talk about the autopen, because this is also a big deal. What are we at? 16 minutes? Yeah. No Canadian news today. Anyway, no, we'll have some Canadian news. Brandon says, I am hereby canceling all executive orders and anything else that was not directly signed by Crooked Joe Biden because of the people who operated the autopen did so illegally. This effectively removes the legal immunity on Dr. Fauci, General Milley, Hunter Biden, and members of the House January 6th investigation committee. So these people are, again, over time, things change. Trump is playing a chess game. The chess game is fixed. He has a goal. He is moving to counter the other people who also have a goal. And it seems like he is more patient, and he is able to wait and execute at a time of his choosing. I don't know the optimal time. We'll see, right? We'll see. But it seems like he's driving the bus right now, and not the globalists, especially with the Venezuela stuff that's going on. This lady is talking about how Trump has pinned all of these people with his movement on the autopen, because if they want him to stop what he's doing, they have to sue him, and suing him gives him a bunch of powers. Here's this lady to tell us what those powers are.
President Donald Trump announcing he is going to terminate all of Joe Biden's autopens. This is spectacular, and I'm going to tell you why. The media is all over this shit already. They're like, he can't do that, right? But what if he does? Well, the Democrats have two choices. They can either allow him to do it and admit that Joe Biden was not of his right mind and capable of running the country, or they can sue him to say, you can't do that. And of course, President Trump is anticipating them to sue him. But here's what happens when they do. Donald Trump and the DOJ now become privy to discovery, testimony, internal logs, medical records, staff communications, autopen records, all of it under oath. Discovery. It's epic. It's a honey trap. So witnesses are going to be asked, who was running the White House? Were presidential duties done outside of the scope of the actual president of the United States? And they're forced to answer, because otherwise it's fraud, it's perjury. And if the courts rule that the autopen was invalid based on the testimony, then all executive orders are nullified, all military direction nullified, agency actions, legislative signature. It would basically erase Joe Biden's entire presidency. And this would be the biggest scandal in our lifetimes. This is an absolute honey trap. It is a win-win situation. And this is epic.
I'm going to go one further. Okay. So right now, the Trump administration has their opponents in a pin move. And a pin move in chess is, it doesn't matter which way, it doesn't matter what happens, your opponent is going to lose a piece. They get to choose which piece, but you have them pinned. Okay. And imagine a knight has a queen on the left side in the position to take it, and let's say a bishop on the other. So two high value pieces. Okay. And so the person gets to choose which of those pieces is going to be gone. And usually in chess, that's the end of the pin. But I think in this configuration, what we're watching right now, this irregular chess game that I'm describing, this pin leads directly to a checkmate. So you're pinned, and that's essentially a checkmate. You're frozen. You have to make a decision. You're going to lose a piece. There's no choice. I guess you could move something else and lose your queen if you want to, but right, you have to make a decision. You have to move this piece. You've been pinned. But I think in this situation, this pin moves right to checkmate, and the checkmate situation gives the opponent an opportunity to move. But again, I think that, well, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I think that Trump doesn't make this move until he's ready to spring the final trap. And the final trap is checkmate. You're done. The game's over, right? And this makes sense right before endgame. Okay, so hopefully, but who knows, right? But it seems very, very good. We'll see how this Venezuela thing plays out. Jack says the appointment of Kenji Brown Jackson was signed by autopen. I'm getting her name wrong. K. Brown Jackson. Trump says any document signed by Sleepy Joe, and that's already done, right? So the people say once the courts weigh in on this, but it's already done one way or the other, right? Like, because autopens used by other people illegally are not presidential orders. Anyway, any document signed, says Donald Trump, by Sleepy Joe Biden with the autopen, which was approximately 92% of them, hereby terminated and of no further force or effect. The autopen is not allowed to be used if the approval is not specifically given by the President of the United States. The radical left lunatics circling Biden around the beautiful Resolute desk in the Oval Office took the presidency away from him. I'm hereby canceling all executive orders and anything else that was not directly signed by crooked Joe Biden, because the people who operated the autopen did so illegally. Joe Biden was not involved in the autopen process, and if he says he was, he will be brought up on charges of perjury. Thank you for your attention to this matter. So, perjury, Joe, perjury. Very interesting. Here is Anna, and she says, I want my money back. Make Zelensky and company sell off their assets and return every single penny to us. $108 billion was stolen. Andrew Brigden, who's a UK former MP, says economist Steve Hank says that of the 360 billion sent to Ukraine, 54 to 108 billion was lost to corruption. That's 15 to 30%. I would say probably 100% was lost to corruption. I don't think that they've actually bought weapon systems. They've just moved the money into different areas and things like that. So pretty crazy. How does that apply to Canada? Canada sent a lot of money to Ukraine, and I think that we are not going to see any of that money back. And the people who did it, they're going to get ambassadorships. They're going to get gold parachutes and glad handing, and that's all they're going to get. No consequences. No consequences for them, just like no consequences for the COVID people, right? And that's concerning. I've got to say goodbye to the stream soon, but we'll do this first. We got the Alberta AGM to talk about, our grab bag of governance, invasion, and more. But Wealth Moose says, the carbon capture loop, they don't want you to notice. 2 years ago, Chrystia Freeland announced a $200 million federal investment into Entropy's carbon capture expansion. Here's the part they conveniently left out. Brookfield Asset Management is a major investor in Entropy, and Mark Carney was Brookfield's chairman through this entire period. So when Carney pushes carbon capture as Canada's future, remember who wins. Private investors first and taxpayers last. This isn't climate policy. It's a self-funding government-backed money loop disguised as virtue. And it is. And how can a woman whose children's godfather became prime minister and has so many connections to Entropy be allowed to do all of this? It's incredible. It's incredible, the fraud, right? And if we ever get a new government, if we ever get a government that is working for the people, we should probably close all of these crazy loopholes and open up. I think that government email boxes should be open. There should be certain things that are not open by default. Certain, like if you're in negotiations for something, during the negotiations, you don't get to open, like the emails are not open. There should maybe be a burn time for, 3 days later or something like that. But everything should be open. Everything should be auditable, because if everything is open and auditable, then smart people who are like, I wonder what the government is up to. And then they download it all and they're like, holy cow, do you know they're sending hundreds of billions of dollars to Ukraine for nothing? People would get upset, right? And so like that builds in accountability, right? And so like, maybe have some hard and fast rules. If this, then you are automatically recalled or something to that effect. Anyway, there's a way to do it. We just don't. And it's so, obviously fraudulent that we should probably fix it. Wealth Moose again says, if Ottawa can spend $12.29 billion overseas, why can't they cut ER wait times, fix homelessness, keep food prices from exploding, stop 2.2 million food bank visits per month, reduce the $2,000 a year debt load per Canadian? It's not that Canada is poor, it's that Canadians are last on their own government's priority list. Truth, unfortunately. And Max Bernier says, the monetary reset is inevitable.